The art of emotional domination, the architect of feelings. The most powerful cage in the world is not made of iron bars. It is made of feelings. While most people are busy trying to win arguments with logic, the masters of influence know a deeper truth. Humans are not rational creatures. We are emotional creatures who occasionally use logic to justify our impulses. If you can control how someone feels, you don't need to control what they think. They will follow you, defend you, and obey you, all while believing they are acting on their own free will. Emotional domination is not about being loud or aggressive. In fact, the most dangerous emotional architects are the quietest. They operate in the shadows of the human heart, using subtle shifts in attention, carefully timed silences, and the strategic application of pain and pleasure. They know that to truly own someone's mind, you must first own their nervous system. Today, we are exploring the darkest corners of human connection. I will reveal 7 advanced techniques used to establish absolute emotional authority. These are the methods used by cult leaders, high-level interrogators, and the most magnetic personalities in history. Use this knowledge to protect yourself, or use it to become the one who holds the strings. Watch until the very end, because the final technique is the most addictive psychological maneuver ever discovered. The first commandment, the principle of intermittent reinforcement. If you give a dog a treat every time it sits, the dog will eventually get bored. But if you give it a treat only sometimes, unpredictably, the dog will become obsessed. This is the foundation of addiction, and it works perfectly on humans. Most people make the mistake of being too available and too consistent. They provide constant validation. To dominate emotionally, you must introduce unpredictability. Be warm and attentive one day, and slightly distant and preoccupied the next, without an obvious reason. This creates a psychological itch in the other person's brain. They will begin to overanalyze your every move, trying to figure out how to get that reward of your attention back. By making your validation a scarce resource, you increase its value 1,000-fold. You become the sun around which their moods orbit. The second commandment, the mirror of vulnerability. Trust is a gate that is usually locked from the inside. To get someone to open it, you must first show them a key. The master of influence uses strategic vulnerability. You share a secret, something that feels deep and personal, but is actually something you have carefully chosen to reveal. When you trust someone with a vulnerability, their brain immediately feels a sense of intimacy and a biological urge to reciprocate. They will tell you their deepest fears, their shames, and their secrets to match the level of trust you've shown. But here is the dark reality. You have not given them any real power over you, but they have just handed you the blueprint to their soul. You now know exactly where their psychological buttons are. You have traded a pebble for a diamond. The third commandment, the cold withdrawal. Nothing creates value like the threat of loss. When you perceive that someone is becoming too comfortable or starting to take your presence for granted, you must utilize the cold withdrawal. This is not an emotional outburst. It is a silent, calm retreat. Suddenly, your responses become shorter. Your eye contact lingers for a second less. You are physically present, but emotionally miles away. This creates an immediate vacuum in the relationship. The other person will feel an instinctive fear of abandonment, the most primal fear in the human psyche. They will start working to bridge the gap, often compromising their own boundaries just to bring you back to your previous state of warmth. The person who is most willing to walk away is always the person who holds the power in the room. The fourth commandment, the labeling technique. Humans have a desperate need to be understood. When you label someone's emotions, you bypass their logical defenses. Instead of arguing with someone, use the phrase, "It seems like you feel," or "It sounds like you are worried about." When you accurately label their emotion, even if it's a dark or hidden one, their brain releases oxytocin. They feel a sudden, intense bond with you because they feel seen. But labeling is also a way to define their reality. If you say, "It seems like you're the kind of person who values loyalty above everything else," you are not just making an observation, you are building a cage. They will now act in a way that proves that label true, just to maintain their internal consistency. You are not just reading their mind, you are writing it. The fifth commandment, the contrast principle. Our brains do not perceive things in isolation. We perceive them in comparison. If you want someone to accept a difficult emotional situation, you must first present them with something far worse. In the world of emotional domination, this is often done through fear then relief. You create a moment of high tension or perceived crisis, and then you are the one who provides the solution or the comfort. The relief they feel is so intense that they will associate you with safety and survival. By controlling the highs and lows, You become the only source of emotional stability in their world. They will fear the storm, but they will worship the one who brings the sun. The sixth commandment, the anchoring of presence. Every time you are with someone during a peak emotional moment, whether it's a moment of great laughter or a moment of deep sadness, you are anchoring yourself to that emotion. Master manipulators make sure they are present and supportive during a person's lowest points. Why? Because when that person recovers, their brain will forever associate the face of the manipulator with the feeling of being saved. You become an essential part of their emotional recovery system. They won't just want you around. They will feel like they need you around to function. You are weaving yourself into the very fabric of their survival instincts. The seventh commandment, the push-pull dynamic. This is the ultimate technique for creating psychological addiction. It is the art of giving and taking away in rapid succession. You push someone away with a subtle criticism or a moment of coldness, and just as they start to retreat, you pull them back with an intense burst of warmth and validation. This cycle creates a massive release of dopamine and cortisol in the subject's brain. It is the same chemical cocktail produced by gambling. They become addicted to the high of your approval, because they never know when the low of your rejection might hit. Over time, their entire self-esteem becomes tied to your reaction. They stop living for themselves and start living for the next pull. You have moved beyond influence. You have achieved total emotional occupation. The human mind is a beautiful, fragile instrument. Most people play it randomly, producing nothing but noise. But for those who understand the notes of the soul, it can be played like a master symphony. Emotional domination is not about cruelty. It is about understanding the fundamental laws of human nature. When you master these techniques, you no longer have to ask for respect, love, or loyalty. You simply create the conditions where they cannot help but give it to you. Join the shadow mind, and let us continue our journey into the depths. The world is yours to shape. Stay powerful,